Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to WEXP 88.3 FM, where we do it better. Sponsored by Eon H2O Water. Perfect hydration, perfectly purified, perfect taste.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. We are on air at the Nifty 90's, the stylish edition. Today, our topic will be fashion. I'm trying to set up an interview right now, but due to technical difficulties, we may have to reschedule this interview. But I'm going to get into, while I'm trying to get that set up, we're actually going to discuss an interesting trend, the fanny pack. A lot of people are just starting to wear the fanny pack. I'm now starting to realize that people are now saying, oh, the fanny pack no longer is as trendy as they thought it was. So I'm trying to figure out, because as we all know, because this is a fashion show gearing toward the 90's, now, the trend went really, really well, and then it went over into belt bags. So what I'm trying to determine and figure out is, it's interesting how things can change so quickly, because for a moment I thought, hey, belt bags were here to stay. So this trend, unlike many that I've followed over the years, did not last as long as I thought. Originally, I planned on doing an interview with a local fashion company, and I'm trying to get her on the line. So if all else fails, we're going to really just discuss, because it is a fashion, this is the week we're going to discuss fashion. I think we'll just discuss the fanny pack trend while I'm trying to get her on the line at the same time. So if you're not aware, the belt bag fanny pack trend. Now, a fanny pack, of course, is a bag that you can wear around your hip. Originally, it was used for traveling and more mature people so that they could keep their things secure and in place. But now it has been seen on the runways and magazines, and you can get high-end leather-type ones. You can get the unofficial kind. So there are just so many different fanny packs and or belt bags that you can receive. So I really want to discuss how this is a great topic to discuss, because trends change so quickly. So I'm just trying to figure out, we don't have that much time to discuss this, but I think a really quick trend like this, and there was neon that went in and out. But I really want to focus on the belt bag, because at one point, all price points were able to afford this. So it just became interesting to me that this did not last as long as I thought it would. So what I really want to discuss with you is, fashion is very, very fleeting. So I really want us to kind of consider, what we all think about when we think about fast fashion. And, you have Forever 21, H&M, and stuff like this. So there's a really well-known website called ASOS. And if you Google search their belt bags, they are some of the most affordable trending bags that you can receive. And at one point I thought, okay, I posted that, hey, everybody would have one, that we would not have to worry about even thinking about it as a trend. This would become, and I thought, hey, everybody, received it so well that it would become a fashion staple. So it's unusual to me that this one common thing that we all assumed would, be here forever disappeared so quickly. So I'm going to discuss that while I'm still trying to get the other person on the line. So yeah, it's just really, really interesting to me that, we are having these concerns. And I think the big thing is with Instagram and the Internet, all of these things, all these situations can change. So what I'm really trying to consider is, with the way the fashion is going right now and how everything has altered with the Internet and stuff like that, what do we do? And here's my thing, things change, and the fashion industry itself has changed. And, for many, many years, we didn't have Instagram. I think the bigger situation is Instagram, because the sooner you see something, the sooner you won't see it, because you're always going to have, something different. So I'm trying to, as I speak about this, I'm trying to get somebody on the line. I've already sent them their information, so I want to verify that they got it. Yes, so I really want to make sure, because a lot is, with being that this is a fashion segment, a lot of things are changing. Even with my programming, I have a sponsor now, and it's just everything is going so quickly that I will pretty soon probably have to hire somebody to help me, because my radio show is definitely going a different direction. So, yes. So, now, about the fanny packs, and then for a little while, neon was in, and there are just so many fleeting fashions, and the stress, I believe, are kind of going by the wayside, but I keep seeing them, occasionally, but they're not as, as big as they were previously. I remember when they were really, really big, and everybody had to have the stressed, items. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the direction of the belt bag trend. We don't have that much time because this is a 15-minute segment, and I'm hoping that I can get to the interview questions for the interviewee, because, and this may somewhat carry over. And she, so we're trying to do all that at the same time. I'm going to really have to hire somebody because this is really expanding. But, yes, so I really want to discuss the belt bag and how the belt bag has really expanded over these. I personally have a belt bag, fanny pack. I got it on sale. It was at a really, really nice store in my area. And I said, what a great bargain. So when I got it, I was excited when I got it, but these bags are not that hard to find. You can even make some. I'm a big DIYer, so that actually was really funny. I made, let's see here. I made mine, actually. So it's interesting that, people are having, it's kind of fleeting, because everywhere I turn in my area, it's, there. And then when I actually went to Orlando to a church conference, and people were like, oh, she's wearing this to church. But I guess because and then plus the church that I attend at home, we are able to kind of express ourselves a little bit differently in our clothing choices in comparison to the conference that I went to that was more traditional. So I really want to discuss, even though I believe that even though a fanny pack is trendy, it can still be worn in certain segments and certain situations. Some people, hey, maybe it's a little too trendy. I wonder if, this fashion staple, I think, hey, it's just a fanny pack. But it was interesting what response it got. I was like, wow. And it wasn't even that it was a negative thing toward church. It was just not being seen, which is interesting because, of course, being in Atlanta, you see everything. So it was really, really interesting to me. So, yes, we're just going to kind of dig deeper because, of course, the radio show is only 15 minutes. And if I do really, really, really well, I can get to an hour. So it's really, really funny how being on the radio, things can change in a fleeting moment. So today, I really wanted to discuss a local fashion company based out of Atlanta. I had already, gotten the information, so we had to actually confirm her information, because I'd already sent it to her days ago, and then she wanted to confirm that she got it. But we're going to kind of, we really don't have too much time, but I made sure that I started on time with you all. Oh, but the fanny pack, oh, wow, this is just such a huge trend. I see it all over the nation. So it was interesting. In certain demographics, it's not even as trendy. So it's interesting, and it could be influence and what other people focus on. But yeah, the belt bag, there are two different types that are kind of, bags that can be worn on your belt loop. You have a belt bag, and then you have the bag where it's more leather, and it has more type of kind of like an animal skin look. Even Gucci has them. They're expensive. You have a knockoff, which I recommend, because even though in my degree they say, hey, you shouldn't really be wearing knockoffs, I believe that, hey, whatever you can afford, because why go broke trying to look like the stars? So there's any kind of a thing. It's not anybody's business. As long as you think it's cute, you'll be surprised. I wouldn't go and spend $4,000, $5,000 on a Gucci bag, and then you're lacking in other departments. So whatever you think is cute, hey, I know back in the day, and even now, just, don't wear knockoffs. And even when I was in school, I'm not supposed to wear knockoffs either. But if you feel cute, if that's what works for your budget, heck, I wouldn't worry about it. But I remember way before this got popular, I was actually at an event in Columbus, Ohio. It was actually it was in June of this year, and they were selling different designer fanny packs. I didn't know how trendy they were. Now, the guy that actually, it was funny, the guy that sold it, he's in Michigan. So some of the clothing, some of the items that were just getting here, of course, being in another region, it's interesting. Some of the stuff that was here we already had. Some of the stuff they have up there, because, of course, Michigan is, depending on what part of Michigan, because I have family in other parts of the country, some of the fashion I've noticed from, the Midwest and the West Coast and the East Coast, they have like totally different fashion trends, because it's really interesting that it's very, very interesting that that would be mentioned. Let's see here. Let me try one more thing. Really, really quick. I'm sorry, I'm having to do more. That's why I need to hire somebody. But yeah, let me try some really, really quick. Yes, so here's the thing with that. While I'm waiting for somebody to get in, this may carry over. I really don't have the time to carry over. But so here's the thing. I actually had a Facebook discussion with somebody, and it's interesting. Now, when people think of the West Coast, they think of California only, that LA, where the coast is, depending on your industry. But if you look on Google, the West Coast actually is considered Seattle, California, Arizona, the couple of underlying states. Then you got the Midwest, and then you got the East Coast. Now, I consider myself being in the Southeast, and the Upper East Coast is New York. Now, it was kind of interesting to me because, of course, I go to a church where people from everywhere. And it's interesting how, being that the Midwest is still pretty close to New York, their trends are kind of, they still their own little interesting trend. Yeah, they still their own interesting trend. I have the person supposed to be who's actually interviewing. They cannot get on the line. I'm going to have to. Okay. Yeah. So what's going to happen is, because our time is cutting really, really short, we're gonna have to reschedule that interview, because I need to actually make sure I give the right information. So if you looked at my social media, I was supposed to have a fashion interview with a fashion company, and I gave her the wrong information, so I do apologize. So as we come to a close, because it's a 15-minute segment, what we'll do is let's briefly get into the different topics now with fashion. Now, we're talking about belt bags. Now, the West Coast, it's a very calm, laid back, but very elaborate look. Now, it's interesting enough, California and New York, as everybody knows, sometimes Miami, I don't always consider Miami or Florida in general the fashion capital, but due to what I've been exposed to, I consider California, New York really New York and California. Those are my more areas that I focus on as far as trending. Now, if you want to go for creativity and color, you go for Florida, but I've never considered Florida fashion capital. It's more of a vacation spot for me. But it's interesting because even though this person was in Michigan, a couple of things, even, the person is based out of Michigan, we had those in Atlanta. It was cheaper than here, but then some of the items, I said, we hadn't gotten it yet, but for the stuff that I had seen, I was like, the pricing was substantially cheaper, but it was trending. But then the stuff that he didn't have, I was like, So all these belt bags and fanny packs and stuff like that. So when I actually bring the segment back on, which will be, that went really quick, but when I bring the segment back on next time, because we're actually going into faith again, we're going back into family next week. So when I bring back the fashion segment on next week, then we'll go ahead and I will make sure, what I will do is I'm going to actually, with the person that could make it on, I'm going to make sure that she pre-records her segment, and we're going to do a pre-recorded segment, and we're going to make sure that she gets set up. But I have a plan for that. But what I will do is I do thank you all. It was a very quick 15-minute segment. It's cold. The weather's really bad out here. And I do thank you all for my loyal listeners, and we are expanding very, very quickly. So we're going to have some more people in to so I can spread things out, so I'm not, overwhelmed, because the radio show is actually expanding and I have other projects going on at the same time. So for those of you who are following my Facebook, yes,